Nearly a month after the election, Riverside County is certifying its results tonight within the last hour. Meanwhile, San Bernardino County is yet to certify its election results, meaning it is still too early to declare a winner in the extremely close race between Christy Holstage and Greg Wallace for State Assembly. Another lead change tonight. Greg Wallace is now leading Christy Holstage by only 20 votes. Incredible. An hour ago, she was ahead by just 13 votes after the San Bernardino County update. I spoke earlier today with Riverside County's Registrar of Voters, Rebecca Spencer. Rebecca, let me start by asking you the question that viewers keep asking us, and that's, here we are in December, several weeks after the election, and votes are still being counted. How is that possible?
Well, it's part of the way voting works in California. So now, voters can, as long as it's postmarked on or before Election Day and received within 7 days, we still have to count it, as well as the conditional provisional ballots for voters who register to vote at a vote center. Those are part of the last ballots that we process. So, and then the voters that drop their ballots off on Election Day, there was hundreds of thousands of those that have to be signature verified. So it all takes some time to get through all of those processes.
So when do you expect all of the votes to finally be counted?
Today, we are planning to certify the election today.
Today.
Yes.
And there are some races, including the State Assembly 47th District here, that are extremely close, just dozens of votes separating the two candidates. What happens in that situation?
So California does not have an automatic recount provision, but a voter can request a recount because that particular contest, the state assembly contest, is split between two counties, Riverside County and San Bernardino County. There is a little bit longer time period for someone to request a recount. That deadline is December 14th. And the request would have to go in, be put in writing to our office, and if they wanted to do it in San Bernardino County, also to the San Bernardino County Registrar of Voters. It has to specify who, on which candidate's behalf the request is being the recount is being requested. And then we have 7 days after receiving that recount, the official recount request, we have 7 days to start it. The person that is requesting the recount is responsible for paying for the cost of the recount. So we would come up with an estimate that they would have to put a deposit on the first day before we would start. And then the recount would continue on a daily basis. The requester can specify the precinct order that they want. So if they wanted to start with certain precincts first, and they can also specify how many teams. We do recounts in teams of 4, where one person, if they wanted to do a hand count, where one person reads out the vote, one person observes that, makes sure that they're reading out the correct vote, and 2 people tally it onto a tally sheet. And then we, at the end, we look at what the hand tally is versus what the machine count was and make sure it matches. So that's essentially how recounts typically work. They can request to do it by machine, where we run it back through the machines. So it really all depends on what the specific requester wants.
When there is a recount, typically, do the numbers come back differently than they were prior to the recount?
So I've probably done at least 50 recounts in the years that I've been at the Registrar of Voters office. You do see a little bit of a change, usually voter intent. So if somebody scratched something out and the system saw that as a mark instead of as a scratch out, and we could see the voter intent, you might see, a slight variances by a couple of votes, but I've never seen in the 50 recounts that I've done, I've never seen a change in the outcome of the election.
Said and done, when do you think that they will officially certify this election?
So we are certifying this election today. I don't know when San Bernardino County is. I believe the deadline for all counties is December 8th. And so, but all counties in California should be done by then. And then the state has a couple of days to do their state certification. But we do, we do have to allow until December 14th in that state assembly contest for anybody to request a recount. The results stand even if we're in the middle of a recount. A recount can take months depending on how many ballots there are and how many teams the requester asks for wants to pay for in that recount. So the election results stand until we get through a complete recount. They could call, if they call off the recount in the middle, the election results still stand.
You mentioned San Bernardino County, and that encompasses part of the 47th State Assembly District. Is it difficult when you have two separate counts happening in two different counties and the timelines are different? And do you coordinate with San Bernardino County?
So we don't necessarily coordinate. We do both report to the state, who takes both of our data and merges it together to get the final vote for that state assembly district. So that's basically the process is we have to report all of our information to the state.
Before I let you go, Rebecca, anything else you would like to say? Were there any issues or unexpected surprises in this election?
No, yeah, the turnout, we wish it was a little bit higher. Right now, it's looking at like it was about 46% for this November election, which is typical for a gubernatorial election. We would expect, of course, during a presidential election, turnout would be much higher. But everything went as it typically does.
And I guess this election just goes to show you that every vote really does count, especially considering some of these close races.
That's right. This is, I think, the closest state assembly contest we've had, and that I can recall. We've had smaller contests. I think the city of Indian Wells a while back, it was separated by 6 votes, but of course that's a much smaller population than the state assembly contest.
All right, Rebecca, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.